Now, when I say pet, I mean, ruff, ruff. He's just like, this is our hostage. Yeah, shadier characters in the city may also have fangs. So irritating, I did want to toss the book across. Anybody that loves a good gothic romance will love top 5 books of the year, guarantees. I've read a lot of books in July. It was a bumper month. And I've read some of the best books I've read all year. Okay, so I've got a pile over there of books that are my favorites of the month. I'll pick up the pile. Sorry, I'm terrible. I just walked straight out of shot. This is a pile of my favorite books of the month. Then I have a pile of my least favorite books of the month. And then I have a whole bunch of others. So I have done a lot of videos this month where I've talked about like a lot of these books and new releases and that. So I don't really want to repeat all of those. So I do want to talk more about the ones that I haven't yet waffled on about. I did Summerween as well, which was fun. Yeah, just loads of new releases I've been reading. So I also went back and I checked my handy dandy TBR list that I committed to at the beginning of the month. And looking at it, I have done really well. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Right. So the only ones of this list that I didn't get to were, annoyingly, The Exorcism of Fairies, which I plan to read next month because I'm dying to get to that. I didn't read The Witch. I didn't actually do my 225 for 25. So I didn't get to The Witch in the Well or what was the other one? What was the other one I did? Oh, The Last Hour Between Worlds. So those two I'm carrying over to this month. Oh, and The Haunting of Lee Harkner. Now, The Haunting of Lee Harkner, I really want to read because I really like Darcy Coates. But I started reading it and I was just like, this is such October. At least it's more autumn vibes. It really isn't summer vibes. So I will be reading that in a couple of months, I think, probably September. And then A Dance of Lies, I'm actually currently reading as we speak. And spoiler alert, it is incredible. Okay. I'm like 160 pages into it. So good. So I feel like I've done really well. I have one 6-star read, and I'll be waffling on about this later on, but preview, it's Terror at the Gates by Scarlett Sinclair. I have a bunch of 5-star reads as well and 4.5-star reads, and then I have ones that didn't really live up to expectations. But you know what, let's start this video with alien romance. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yes, you heard me. I said alien romance. JLA. Who knew? JLA wrote alien romance. I didn't. Didn't even realize this was JLA. And then I went, oh, who wrote this? And I was like, it's Jennifer L. Armentrout. So, this is the Lux series. Now, I was not aware of this series. Clearly, I've been living under a rock because it was published like in 2015, something like that. Oh no, 2011 first published. So this is Obsidian. Now, I picked this up because I really liked the cover and it was in TK Maxx and I always have to treat myself. This is for, okay, where are my Roswell girlies at? Where are my Roswell fans? Both the original show and Roswell, New Mexico, which I loved. This is Roswell meets the Vampire Diaries. There are no vampires in it, but it's that sort of vibe. Meets the X-Files, that kind of thing. I was like, this is so much fun. I did not expect this to be as fun as it is, and I will be continuing the series. I think this is a 4-book series. So what is it about? So you have our main character, Katie. She moves to this little town in West Virginia with her mom. And her mom is like, go forth and make friends. So she goes next door to the neighbors, and this guy opens the door and he's hot. Oh, he's shirtless with the black hair and the deep eyes and and he's all like, what do you want? And he's all mean to her and she's just like, hello. And his name is Damon. So when I said the Vampire Diaries, I pictured Damon Salvatore the whole time I was reading this book, okay? I don't know if JLA was going for that, but that's what I was picturing. So he's proper grumpy and she's just like, well, that is the last time I speak to anyone in this town, because also people just kind of look at her funny. There's like weird whispers. It's just an odd vibe in this town. So later on, his sister Dee comes over and goes, I'm really sorry, my brother's a bit of an ass. Let's be friends. So she makes friends with her, but then when they're at school the next day and she goes to sit with them, there's this really awkward encounter at their table. They're kind of the popular kids. And again, Damon is really mean to her and makes her kind of leave and makes her feel really bad. And then the next day he comes over and apologizes, and he's given the poor girl whiplash. She doesn't know what is, like, 1 minute he's nice to her, 1 minute he's mean to her. She's just like, what does he want from me, right? And then again, there's all these like whispers and weird things happening. And there's a scene, again, very Twilight. There is a scene where she is not paying any attention. She walks out and a truck is coming towards her, and the truck gets stopped suddenly, and she's like, whoa, how did that happen? And it turns out that Dee and Damon and a large proportion of the people in this town are from they're not of this world. And then sort of a whole bunch of stuff kicks off. I loved it. Like I said, if you loved Roswell, New Mexico, I'm gonna recommend this. This was so much fun. If that sounds good to you, read it. I loved it. 4 stars, 4.5 stars. Enjoyment 5. I had a great time. I'm definitely gonna read the other books. Then let's go to something that was a lot less light, but super weird. Okay, Shy Girl, Mia Ballard. Now, a lot of booktubers that I love, including Hayley Hughes, have read this and have been raving about it. I've been raving about Mia Ballard generally, and I was like, I have to jump on that bandwagon because I love a bandwagon. And yes, this is weird. Okay, so this is very short as well. Again, this was when I sat down. I read cover to cover, like pretty much in one sitting, I think. And it is about a woman who, she's broke, and she thinks the best way to earn some money is not to get a job, but to go on a sugar daddy website and get me a sponsor. Okay, so she goes on this website where women offer services and men pay them for their time. And she's also incredibly naive. So this is just red flag after red flag, and you're like, girl. First guy that messages her, she goes and meets him, and he has this proposition. He's like, I want you to be my pet. Now, when I say pet, I mean ruff, ruff. He wants her to act. I think I did everything as a dog. I think I could do this. He wants her to act as a dog. Okay. A second red flag, he takes her to his house and there's a giant cage in his office. Like, those training cages you put your dogs in. And he asks her to get on her hands and knees and crawl into the cage. This gig is only supposed to be like 9 to 5 kind of thing, like 7 hours a day. And on the first day, he's like, no, I'm keeping you. So basically, he holds her hostage. There is a lot of like trauma, essay, check your trigger warnings. This gets dark and deep. And then there is body horror. Then she's been acting like a dog. He keeps this woman for 7 years. And it's just wild. This book is wild. And then, of course, you have female rage at the end. It is very good, but please check your triggers. If you can handle it, if you can also handle some really gory body horror. I loved it. I now get why everybody is so enamored with this book. I totally get it. Then let's change lanes again and go to The Wilderness of Girls. This is by Madeline Claire Franklin. And this is gorgeous, okay? I think this is YA. But I think anybody can read it and enjoy it. What is this about? So this is about our main character. What's her name? Marie. She's having a really, really tough time at home. So think Boys of Tommen, okay? The way this book starts. And she goes to live with her uncle, where she finally feels safe. He's a game ranger, like a park ranger. So she's out in the park one day and she sees these wolves, which obviously she's like, oh my God, wolves. But then she sees that they're protecting these 3 girls. 3 or 4. Is there 4 of them? I can't remember now. 3 or 4 girls. And one of the girls has got her foot stuck in one of the traps, right? So she calls for help. So Ree calls for help to get this girl rescued. And when they take them to the hospital, there's a really strange encounter with the wolves in the beginning. I loved it. But so they take these girls to the hospital and then they realize the girls have been living in the wilderness this whole time with this man they call Mother. And basically you get the impression that he's taken these girls and he's been living out in the wilderness for them. He is now gone and they've been fending for themselves. And their story slowly starts to unravel and it interconnects with Ree's story and her life. And there's a lot of really deep discussions about girlhood, about coming into your own power, choosing for yourself, abuse, neglect. Is the urban world that are the values that we're all taught to value, the house, the car, the job, the money, is that actually really better than things like love and friendship and, are you better off in the wilderness? And the wilderness of your mind, your own agency, all of that. It is so beautiful, so good, so deep, had me thinking so much. had me so emotional, you know, shades of that Tarzan to it. It just, I don't hear people talking about this book. I really wish they did, and I really wish that more people would read it, because I think it is a phenomenal read. Right, let's change gears again. Carnal urges. Okay, these books are my palette cleansers. I adore the series. So I'm doing one a month, although I might do two this month because I've got two waiting on audio. And this is the Queen's Monsters series by J.T. Geisinger. These are just fun mafia romance. But when I say fun, they're dark, but they're not that dark. They're more kind of fun dark. And this one, I was so excited about this one because we meet our main character at the end of the first book, Sloane. She is the best friend of our protagonist in the first book, but also in the first book, right at the end, she gets kidnapped by the head of the Irish mob because she caused a gunfight in a restaurant between the Irish and the Bratva because her boyfriend got jealous. It was a whole thing. But Sloane as a character is so much fun. She has no filter. She will make friends with anyone. Literally, she gets kidnapped by the Irish mob, and she's just not afraid of this guy. He's like, Declan's like, dude, I'm the head of the Irish mob. I'm a scary bastard. And she's like, no, you're not. And I swear she's basically his hostage, and she makes his men really like her in the sense that they treat her like a princess. They bring her stuff. She's feeding them. She gets them to chat to her and have smoke breaks. And he's just like, this is our hostage. Okay, you're supposed to be loyal to me. What are you doing? Everybody loves her. Even her ex from the Bratva is pining for her and wants her back. It is so good. This book is so much fun for a mafia. This is the most fun I've ever had in a mafia romance. I absolutely loved it. I love the banter. I love Declan. Also, he has another secret identity that's a lot of fun, and I think it's setting up events. So there is kind of a storyline that's running through all of the books. I cannot wait to read the next one. I laughed. It's great spice. The spice is spicing. It's great. It's just a fun time. These are such palette cleansers for me. I love them. Then talking about something I absolutely love. Karina Halley Nocturne. So this was billed as Seven meets LA Confidential with vampires, and I can confirm. So this is set in 1940s Hollywood. Now, I love anything, and I've got quite a few books coming up that are around like the film industry as well. I love anything sort of set in Hollywood in the film industry, and also in the 40s. That's very cool. And you basically have our main character who is like a gangster's mole, and she also sings in the nightclub. But it turns out that some of the shadier characters in the city may also have fangs. And her best friend, one of the other club singers, goes missing and turns up killed in a very kind of brutal, horrible way. And she teams up with a private investigator to investigate. But he's also been losing time, and he doesn't understand what's happening to him. And it's also their romance, and it's very good. What I love about this as well is that other characters from Karina Halley's like vampire world show up. So if you've read Blood Orange or Black Sunshine, that duet, Black Rose, The Blood is Love, characters, so our Vlad, like our Dracula character from Blood Orange turns up, then Absalom's and characters from Black Sunshine show up. It is so much fun. Like, you don't have to have read them, but it's just so much fun to see those characters again. And I loved it so much that I was like, I must go back to those. I must read the second books in those series. So I'm really excited to do that soon. But yes, this is just a fun, if you want fun vampire detective. There was like a TV show, and I'm struggling to remember the name, but he was a vampire and he was also a detective, a bit like Angel, the Buffy spin-off. This is, Karina Halley put something in her books that just makes me foam at the mouth for them. However, I'm gonna go to one of my kind of letdowns of the month. I need to drink. So it isn't a letdown. So these are Karina Halley's, two of her I think this is actually her first novel that I can find. So this is a series called Experiments in Terror, and this is book 1 and 2. I think it's like 9 books in the series. And I've read both of them. Now, I love the premise. I love aspects of it, but then there's aspects of this I do not love. Now, like I said, Karina Halley, for me, I don't know what it is. Whenever I read one of her books, I'm invested. So I read both of them. I actually listened on audio and then kind of read along a little bit with them as well. And I just can't get enough of her. I do love it. However, I do have an however with this. So the premise of these is you have our main character, what's her name? Perry? Yeah. Perry is kind of a 20-something, early 20s. She's, her life isn't really going as good as it should. Her job is a bit dead end. She's not really doing the marketing job she was dreaming of. She thinks she's like the glorified temp secretary. And she's a bit down on her luck. Her sister, however, is very fun, like influencer girly, which I love. And the sister actually has a spin-off series, which I want to read. And so she also gets these weird dreams and these weird visions. And it turns out that Perry can see ghosts. So she can see the paranormal. And in this first book, they go visit her, I think it's her uncle, and there's this kind of like abandoned lighthouse on his property. And she goes into this lighthouse and she has like this weird experience. And then she runs into Devon in the lighthouse. Now, he is someone who, again, this is early 2010s. These books were published. So bear that in mind as well, in terms of some of the things possibly and some of the writing. But he has this kind of webtoon web series, Wine Babes, that he does with his girlfriend, where they go around tasting wine, but he wants to do like a paranormal one. So he's also filming, not supposed to be, but he's filming in this lighthouse, and he wants to do this paranormal web series. So what happens kind of is the two of them team up to do this episode in this lighthouse, which is fun. I love all that. And then the second book is them kind of continuing and doing like the second episode, on a reservation. Now, what I will say is, I am obviously not Native American Indian. I do not know if the representation is great. I like the book for what it was. This one has to do with like shapeshifters. I really loved the atmosphere. I loved kind of the setting, but I can't comment to whether there's anything problematic about that, right? Okay, so just, again, know that. But I really love the story in this one. The thing that gets to me in these is the romance. Okay, so Perry from the get-go fancies Dex, or Dex, sorry, not Dex, fancies Dex, okay? He, however, is much older than her. I think he's like a good 10 years, maybe a little bit more older than her. He also has a girlfriend, but he calls her a kid from the get-go, right? Now, I had two problems with that. One, she's not a kid. She's in her 20s. She's not a child. But second of all, especially as we progress to book 2, they sort of, you can tell they fancy each other. So he starts to, it kind of looks like he fancies her back, and there's some romance that happens. But all the while he keeps calling her kid. And it gave me the ick. And I don't, like, I have no problem with taboo romance. In fact, I like taboo romance. I have no problem with age gap romance. I like age gap romance. But the fact that he kept calling her kid after they sort of had a romantic interlude, I don't know. There's something about the romance that isn't doing it for me, that is giving me the ick. And I think we find out more about Dex, and there's a bit more going on to him, because I didn't really like him in this book. So I think as we go through the series, we're going to find more out about like the personalities and that. And I think I will do the next one, but I'm not going to buy the book. I think I'm just going to listen to it on audio, if I can listen to the audio for the next one. But yeah, I liked it enough, but I don't know if I would recommend this to everyone, because it's not Karina Halley's best work, in my opinion. And I'm going to do a whole Karina Halley video, best, worst, where to start, all of that, once I've done all of her books. I've got a few more to go. Right, so let's talk about some fun romance, okay? We're going to go back to some dark romance, because I've got some Kerry Lake. But let's talk about some fun romance now, okay? So I read these two. Romance is Dead and Fan Service. So Romance is Dead by Katie Bond and Fan Service by Rosie Dannon. I will say I loved this one. And this one was, yeah, it was okay. It was like a 3.5-star read. Not bad. But this one was really great. So this one does take a paranormal slant, where you have our main guy. He's Devon, I think. Yeah, he's Devon. He's an actor. So again, these are both Hollywood, like, acting based. He was an actor in like a Teen Wolf type show. It has been on the air for a number of years. He's a bit of a washed up actor, but also he's been losing time, and especially around the full moon. So he goes to the moderator of his fan site for the show, to ask for help to figure out what exactly is happening to him. Now, our main character here, she is, I forget what her name is, Alex. She is a bit of an outcast in her small town. She also had a very interesting interaction with Devon years ago at like a Comic-Con. That didn't go well. So when he kind of reaches out to her, she's like, what? But anyway, she agrees to help him out with his situation. And she knows a lot about wolves because not only is she a massive fan of the show, but her father actually studies real wolves in the town that they live. And, you know, it's their romance. It's very sweet. It's also got that paranormal element to it. You know, a commoner dating a celebrity. There's that. I will say I thought this was a little long. There were parts in the middle of it I was like, yeah, can we get on with it? I get it. It didn't need, I think we could have shaved 100 pages off of this. So I liked it enough, but I didn't love it. Okay. That one's going in the unhaul pile, by the way. That's what I'm doing there. This one, Romance is Dead. I love this. This is a new release and I think it's a debut. I think. But I think Katie Bond did an amazing job with this. This, again, is set in Hollywood. So this has all the elements that I love, right? So this is very me coded. Our main character here, Quinn. She is a scream queen. All right. She's 29. She's been doing horror movies since the age of 8. And she has had enough of Hollywood. And this is going to be her last film that she's doing. So that's already kind of problematic and stressful enough. And then in walks her new co-star after the old one gets fired. And it's a reality TV star, Teddy. And Teddy is, yeah, she's like, dude, he was like on like a Love Island, The Bachelor type of thing. And she's like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. And things kind of start on a rocky start on this film set. And then one of the assistants is found dead. And they're like, oh, was this an accident or not? And Quinn is like, this wasn't an accident. So her and Teddy end up investigating. And in the course of their investigation, they may or may not take their clothes off. It is so much fun. This is romantic suspense, I would say, because but it's all those elements. I think this, if you want to read a romance novel in spooky season, this is going to get recommended. This is so going to get recommended. I loved it. I loved the whodunit. I did not see it coming. And I love the whole setting of like a Hollywood scream movie. I love the kind of Hollywood. I liked the pop culture reference dropping, and if you don't like that, you may not like that. But loved. I'm also going to be talking about Time of My Life soon in a video. Time of Your Life, again, Hollywood celebrity references there. So those two were fabulous, and then I read another few. So I read these 3. So we had Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. We had Best Hex Ever. And then we had Summer in the City by Alex Astor. So I'm going to start with this one because this one, I wasn't that keen on. I'm so sorry. Don't cancel me. It was fine. It was fine. But this was like, this was a pizza margarita. This is a 3-star for me. And I don't know if I'm going to read any more Ali Hazelwood. So the thing is, this was my first Ali Hazelwood, and everybody's raving about this. So this is Age Gap. And I'd say the setting for a summer romance, vibes are immaculate. It's set in Sicily, and it's our main character's brother's wedding. And sort of the premise here is that she has kind of been in love with her brother's best friend and like business partner for years, ever since she was at college, and he kind of rescued her from a situation at college. But he's much older than her, and he's always been very much like, no, I'm too old for you. This is not going to happen. This is just no. And she's just chases him kind of relentlessly, to the point where I was a bit like, really? And his whole thing just hinges on the fact that he's too old for her. And I just felt like that was a very flimsy obstacle. I want more from my obstacles. You know, I want life and death while we cannot be together. And I just felt like that's your whole reason. I don't know. I just wasn't into the romance. It was something it just didn't hit for me. I kind of was like, these two people shouldn't be together. Just go your separate ways. I wasn't that into it. There was some trauma in that is discussed in that, which, I mean, that's not the, like, it's kind of, but yeah, I just, like I said, please don't cancel me, but I didn't like it. I mean, I know that I didn't like, okay. It was fine. Then one I did like, and again, this makes no sense, so don't take any recommendations from me, because most people love Problematic Summer Romance and don't like this one so much, but I really like this one. So again, Alex Astor puts crack in her writing for me. I love Lightlark. I actually love the whole series, and I know people have issues with that as well. I really like it. And this is the first contemporary romance of hers that I read, and I really enjoyed it. So this is set in New York, and again, it's set around the movie industry. So our main character here, she has been tasked with writing a rom-com based on various settings around New York. So the production has told her to spend the summer in New York, and she wants to go to all of these locations and then write her screenplay. She's a screenwriter. She's having a bit of a problem with that. She also had an encounter with a man a few years earlier when she was still living in New York that kind of left a really sour taste in her mouth. And of course, who does she run into in this building that she's staying at? That man. He's a tech billionaire, and he's in the middle of an IPA. His company's about to go public. He's about to be super mega rich, to add to his mega richness already. And they kind of fake date. So he wants her to be his fake girlfriend to kind of distract from this merger, to focus the press on like his personal life. And in turn, he's going to help her and scout all of these locations in New York and kind of act as her muse so she can write this rom-com. And through the course of the book, they obviously fall in love, but there is a lot of push and pull. There is a lot of discussions around money on this because she is very much against a relationship with him because of the money side of it. And at first I was a little bit like, oh, get over it, girl. She's very mean to him. Also in Problematic Summer Romance, she's very mean to him in that as well. But as you kind of gets explained, the sort of the trauma and the backstory and some things for both of them that you kind of go, oh, okay, I get it. And I think I connected with this main character more because from her home life and how her father treated her mother, and the fact that her mother was then adamant that she was going to raise her two kids and fend for them and care for them herself no matter what she needed to do, and the way she kind of drilled independence into her girls, I am like that, coming from an abusive home life, and my goal in life was never to be in a situation where I was reliant on somebody else. And like, I've done that, but I've probably done that to the nth degree. And she's like that a little bit. She will not accept any help. You know, she wants to stand on her own 2 feet. And I like, I'll get you, girl. I got her so much. So I think people will hate her. I think people will not like this main character. I think people will think she's annoying, but I got her on a deep personal level, and that's probably why I love this book so much. But I also loved all the New York locations, and it was very Sex and the City, and it was super fun. I enjoyed it. And then I won't talk to this as much because I've already talked about this, but this was The Best Hex Ever by Nadia El-Fassi. This is just a fun, witchy, paranormal, spooky, perfect for Halloween romance, and it will get recommended ad nauseum in October. Now, when we're talking about romance that I didn't like, shall we talk about the book that I DNF'd and disliked the most this month? Shall we? Please don't cancel me. Okay. Hear me out. Okay. I was really looking forward to this. So this is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. And this was... Okay, so she says this was rewritten for the Trad Pub. So this is another one that started life as a Dramini fanfic and now has been rewritten and published traditionally. Setup: 2 rival mages, one from the dark, one from the light. Our dark mage over here, he is sick. And only our light mage over here has the ability to help him. So that's the setup. That is also all that happens in the first 100 and something pages that I got to. I got to page 120. So I got, no, it's not the thickest book, right? So I got a fair ways in. So that was my first problem with the book. I was like, nothing happened. Literally, that was it. He was like, help me. Okay. And she helps him, but she's not getting it right. So they'd have a couple of goes of it. He's still not cured. We carry on. So that was my first problem. My second problem was the writing. I couldn't do it. So for reference, and again, don't come for me. And if you love it, you love it. I love that for you. I don't like Blackadder. It's like a English satirical dark comedy kind of thing. I don't like Terry Pratchett. I don't really like Joe Abercrombie. I like that very satirical joke after joke after joke. It got tiring. You know, the real cartoon villain lines that he has some, like, he's like a caricature of a villain, and that's not my vibe, right? It's so snarky, but not snarky in a good way, not snarky in a way that I enjoy. I feel like it's a very British humor, but it's not one that I like. It's a lot of dialogue. that I didn't find particularly funny. I know you're meant to find it funny. I see the jokes. I just don't find them funny. And I found the writing style so irritating, I did want to toss the book across the room. I'm so sorry. Please don't cancel me. If you love it, I love that for you. But that was a hard no for me. Then one that I loved was Nightshade. This is Kari Lake's Nightshade. This is actually the first book in a duology, but you can read this as a standalone with a satisfying end or continue. I will be reading the second book, just not right now, because I'm like, oh my God, I must know what happens. But I do want to continue it because this love story is beautiful. So this is one of the ones that is love story through the ages. We will meet in all of our lives kind of thing. And I love that. It is also gothic as hell. We're talking angels and demons, alternate universe. So we start off kind of as an urban fantasy in our real world, and this girl's father has gone missing. She wants to figure out what happened to him, and he has all these weird notes about like angels and demons and things like that, and she ends up in this kind of like liminal space that's almost like a waiting room for ghosts. But you get a backstory, you get a present story. The love story in this is divine. If you liked Anathema, you will like this. This is slow burn. This is yearning. This is I will love you in every lifetime. This is I will end the world for you. Again, so gothic, so moody, so perfect for spooky season. If you want that romance, I think anybody that loves a good gothic romance will love this. And Kari Lake continues to be one of my favorite authors. And again, I'm working my way through all of the Kari Lake books, and I will do a video on her. Then let's talk about my favorite 2 books of the month: Silver and Leet and Terror at the Gates. So Terror at the Gates is my favorite book of the month. And I'm going to talk about this book ad nauseum, so I am so sorry in advance. It is by Charlotte Sinclair. It is a urban fantasy and has kicked off my love of urban fantasy. I'm doing a Crescent City back-to-back read. That's how much I want to get back into. I need more. Scarlet Babe, please write book 2. Because I want to be back in this world. This will get read a number of times. So this book also contains very heavy religious overtones. It is about Lilith Leviathan. And if you know your mythology or your Bible studies, Lilith was, in some of the stories, she was the first wife of Adam. However, she was evil. She was rebellious. And she was kicked out of the garden, and Eve came in, and she was all subservient and sweet. So it's trad vibe. She was trad wife. Lilith not so much. And there's various things like Lilith is seen as a witch, goddess, demon, whatever. There's a lot of, and I find that whole very fascinating to start off with. And then in the setting where we have this incredible world that Charlotte Sinclair has built, and also if you look at picture that's stunning. It's very urban, it's very cool, but it's like these districts, and they all ruled by different families. It's all very religious. The women in this world, they have magic, but the magic is basically siphoned off of them by their husbands to build their husbands' reputation in their empires. And the women, like I said, are very subservient. The daughters are married off like in arranged political style marriages, and Lilith is like, hell no. So she goes off to the Cedia district to become a dancer. And she's also a bit of a thief. She uses her charms to thieve things. And she steals a dagger that is a religious artifact, and that kicks off a whole host of shit, okay? The other bit of this is the love story, which is between Lilith and Zariath. Now, Zariath is the kind of the ruler of this particular district. He's seen as the bad boy, the wild card. But he has such a soft spot for her, and I love the push and pull. The romance was delicious. The yearning, the build-up, the slow burn, the two of them fighting, loving. It just, it was everything. It was so good. The end of this book left me shooketh, okay? Literally jaw floor. What is going on? I need book 2. I loved this. This is a 6-star read. This has gone straight to second tier and will be in the top 5 books of the year, guaranteed. Okay. Then let's talk about Silver Elite. I have talked about this, so I'll just do this very quickly. Dystopian military training, which I love. Modifieds, people with magical ability versus the norms. And in this world, the military is trying to get rid of all the modifieds, and our main character is forced into military training for the Silver Elite, which is the military, like the special ops that get rid of all of the mods. So she don't want to be there. She tries to fail out in the beginning, but Cross, her commander's like, oh no, girl, you're staying here. And it's their romance, but it's also all of the political machinations and everything that's happening in this world, because every time you have a kind of government organization trying to oppress a certain population of people, you will have the resistance and they'll be fighting back. So it's that. And the end of this book. Yeah, I want book 2. I want book 2 right now. Right now. Then let's talk about let's talk about this book. This was one so again, people are going to cancel me, but I don't know what it is. I know everybody else adores this book, but I read When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I liked it. I got where it was trying to go, but I just didn't love it. And I think the problem with this for me was that one of the main characters is a child, and I'm not a fan of child protagonists in books. But also something just didn't hit for me. So you have the setup here is our main character, and what is her name? Jess. She is having a really bad night. She was been cleaning at the bar, the cafe that she works at, and she pricks her finger on a used needle. So she's freaking out, but instead of going to the hospital, she goes home, and she finds this child crying on her doorstep, this small child, I think like 7-year-old kid. And she's like, what's going on with this kid? And then he's clearly afraid of something, which turns out to be his father. And when his father comes knocking, his father's a wolf. Okay. So she takes this child and goes on the run. And then you're kind of learning what's actually going on. Is he really a wolf? What is happening? What's happening with this child? And it's good. And it's fast paced and it's interesting, but just something about it didn't hit for me. Like it was fine, but still, what's my tier that I have, but still dead inside, right? So it was a 3-star, but I'm still dead inside. It just didn't have the impact for me. And then let's end on 3 books that I did love, but I'm not going to talk about them because I have talked about them, or I'm not talking about them in any detail because I've talked about them in previous videos. But I would say if you're looking for dark romantasy based on Rome with like judges and a judicial system and a cool magic system, and some wonderful machinations and the most delicious dark romance, Monster of Mine by Shalina Abiskara. Okay, if you're looking for dark fairy tale romance that's sapphic, that's based on Swan Lake, that again has magic, that's set in Paris, that has the most beautiful, sumptuous, dark, delicious fairy tale grim-esque writing, A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. And if you're looking for a super fast-paced thriller that you cannot put down, that will have you on the edge of your seat with your pants down, that will actually have you crying at the end, okay? Had me at the end. Holly Jackson's Not Quite Dead Yet is phenomenal. It is her first foray into adult thrillers, and I think she did an amazing job. So that is it. Tell me if you're still here. If you're still here, send me a snake emoji for Terror at the Gates, my favorite book of the year. Of the year. That was favorite book of the month, but one of my favorite books of the year. And I will speak to you all again very soon. Bye.